All right, Randy, go ahead.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful Friday the 16th in Texas. Today we have Debbie Mrazek. Did I say it right, Debbie? Very good. So would you agree that nothing happens until a sale is made? Certainly for people in our businesses, right? I mean, there's a lot of things we do up front, but if the sale doesn't close, it was all for naught. Every entrepreneur, business owner, and professional has the need to experience healthy sales. In this fun and fast-paced session, Debbie opens the books on successful sales processes that are guaranteed to transform your bottom line results. Debbie Mrazek, who's president of the Sales Company and author of The Field Guide to Sales, grew up in the technology industry back in the good old days of selling for many different manufacturing companies, also called a multi-rep, I guess. Huh? She started her journey selling for different companies and enjoyed so much success that she moved quickly to consulting with companies about how they could sell better, smarter, and make more doing what they were already doing. Debbie is an energizing, compelling communicator of invaluable content. She's had speaking engagements with or has conducted trainings, workshops, and webinars for many organizations, corporations and associations, churches, chambers, and universities like SMU, University of Texas, Dallas, University of Texas, Arlington, and the Tecnológico de Monterrey, Mexico. Please join me in welcoming our guest for today, Debbie Mrazek.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. So great to be with you. And it is a glorious day here. So today I want to talk about wherever you are, and I'm glad we had a little chance to talk before we began today, kind of understanding where each of you are. And then David, thank you for having everybody introduce themselves and understanding, what they do. But if I convey nothing else today, I want you to know that even though we are in this pandemic, selling is still selling. Best practices are still best practices. The only difference now is many of us who are used to doing all our business in person are having to do it virtual. But what I have shared with people the past few months is the truth of it is, even if you think you did most of your business in person, you've been doing business virtually forever. You've been on the phone, you've been on email, you've texted. Some of us are old enough that did business via fax. And so, if you're in your head telling yourself that you cannot do things virtually, then let me assure you, you have done it before, you can do it again. And by the grace of technology here, we actually at least can see each other through Zoom. It is not all the same thing, trying to read somebody's body language, from the shoulder up versus, if you saw them in person, they were tapping their toe or tapping their fingers on their desk or whatever. It's not exactly the same, but it still is what it is, and you can make it work. So I want to begin with today also reminding you that each of us, probably for ourselves, have evidence of a time that we've been through before that was difficult. So this is an extremely difficult time now. We haven't been through something like this particular thing before, but we have been through tough times. So for example, for me, the most dramatic in my business was 9/11. When 9/11 happened, within 3 days, 85% of my business was gone. Now I'm telling you, I think I'm pretty dadgum good at sales, but I am not good enough to replace 85% of my business quickly. But I made it through that time, and I've made it through downturns. I've made it through cancer. I've made it through 2008. So here we are at the pandemic. And so on Friday, March 13th, I do a program, Mako knows 10,000 small businesses for Goldman Sachs. I had been in class all day long, 12 hours, no windows, no anything. We're all really devoted to learning that day. And when I came out, it was Friday evening. It was 6 o'clock. It had been a phenomenal day, but that class is done at the Bill Priest Institute south of downtown Dallas, and I live in Plano at Legacy in the Tollway. So Friday afternoon, 6 o'clock, I don't need to tell you all how long that drive is, but it'd been a great day. I was excited and got in my car, playing the music. It was a gorgeous day. And got into downtown. I was scooting over to catch the tollway and come home. And there was no traffic downtown. Friday afternoon, 6 o'clock, and I'm thinking, wow, there must be a heck of a wreck on 35 that has kept people from coming into downtown and no traffic. So I'm kind of thinking, how lucky am I that I can get through downtown on Friday afternoon, like in 3 minutes, lickety split. Well, I get up to where you enter the tollway, and there were 8 lanes and not one car. I got on the tollway, I'm driving north, and I'm thinking, what has happened? I called my husband, and he said, just get home. He said, everything has shut down. It's that pandemic thing they've been talking about. I don't know what it is, but come home. Just so y'all know, you can make it from downtown Dallas to Legacy and the Tollway in 20 minutes when there's no traffic. So I did. So over that weekend, I just, there's a part of me, I truly confess, just aggravated, like, ugh. So we're going to go through this again, like 9/11, everything's going to go away. Woe is me, kind of thing. But over the weekend, I had that talk with myself about, you know what, girl, you survived 9/11, you survived all these other things. You are here 20 plus years later, still in business. So the evidence is on you that whatever you had to do, you did it, and you're still here. So on Monday morning, I came in my office. I office in my home, and on my phone I had like more than 10 voicemails. I mean, when was the last time you had more than 10 voicemails? Those spam people got a hold of my phone, and so you have all those kind of crazy messages. Well, sure enough, I listened to the voicemails. Some of them were those crazy spam people, but others were people saying, oh my gosh, Deb, I don't know what I'm going to do. We never do business virtually. We always see people in person. We travel. What are we going to do? Call me, call me, call me. Well, I'm here to tell you that from March 16th to today, my business has been slammed all year. I have been as busy as the one-armed paper hanger. And so I am grateful. And I am still a bit stunned, but it's a great reminder that no matter what crisis goes on, there are still some businesses that do great during crisis, and there's other businesses that don't do so great during crisis. So for example, Todd shared, he was in the trade show industry. Well, we all know that has been decimated in a way that we all knew it to be, but they are in the process of creating whatever the future is going to be, but it's just not time yet for that to present itself. And so Todd can make a living at that. So he has to do something else. So we definitely want to acknowledge that there are businesses that, will have great difficulty, have had great difficulty the past few months and will continue. But then that there are other businesses, and if your business is that, then tell yourself the truth. There is still business there. And the other truth that I want you to tell yourself is that even if business is difficult and you're having to find another place, that, you have skill sets. And those skill sets are still necessary, and the onus will be on you to figure out where else you can use them. So it isn't like you do not have anything to work with. And also that you are a one-person business for the most part. Maybe you have a few employees, but I don't think we have anybody on here that needs $1 billion to make their business good. So that brings us back to sales. How much business do you need this year? Is it 100,000? Is it 50,000? Is it 500,000? Whatever that number is, how many deals does that represent? Is it 20 deals? Is it 10 deals? Is it 50 deals? Is it 100? Tell yourself the truth. What I find is when people are stressed and they are at a difficult place, they tend to deviate from what's real. So they say things like, I have no business, nothing's happening, nobody's hiring, nobody wants this. No, you know, and it's very dramatic, and I know it feels that way, but it is not the truth. So how much business do you need? So let's say you need 10 pieces of business, 10 clients. So then think about how many people do you know? And so we're going to talk about those kind of things today. So the first thing I want you to remember when we're selling during a pandemic or any time, you know, sales always works with marketing. You know, these are, you know, marketing's the hub, sales is one of the things that are around that. These things all work together as you would in a good environment. And also remember, sales works with everything else. You still have to do your accounting. You still have to maybe work with warehousing, shipping people, engineering people. It's all the same thing, even if it's not exactly as it was before. Are you really open for business? Are you just whining? And there's plenty of people out there, and I'm sure you know them, that are just whining right now. So because they're whining, they're not really open for business. Who wants to do business with them? You know, they just want to complain about what isn't. No, you need to make sure your mindset is 100%, 150% in the game right now. You are open for business. You are ready to do business. You are doing business, and you will be doing business. You know, that 6 inches that we have between our ears is still the most priceless piece of real estate. And it helps us and hurts us more than anything else. So if you have an attitude that is negative or is less than or just is not, then I really want you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, that is not working for me. We're moving forward. I've done good in bad times before. I am open for business. And I'm going to get on the horn, get on a Zoom, get on a webinar, whatever, email newsletter. I am telling the world I am open for business and real business. I think it was Dick that was talking about having some difficulty getting paid by people. Hey, even when it's a tough time, we still all need to get paid. So we're not working for free. We're not doing charity right now. We are working. We may have to change our fees a bit. We may have to change our terms a bit, but we are not working for free. We are open for business. We are doing real business that the IRS will be looking at us to pay our taxes come April next year. So I want you to tell yourself, how was your business before March 2020 when things shut down? Were you having a banner year already, or were you already struggling? It didn't start March 13th for you. Maybe it hadn't been a good year all year. Whatever it is, what's the truth? How was your business before 2020? Just acknowledge what it was, and then let's move on. So, have you, since COVID began, have you developed some new products or services that might help you during this time? It may not be something you want to do 100% of the time, but it maybe is something that you can do during this time. So I'll use an example for myself. I coach people one-on-one. I do training sometimes for teams of salespeople, but for the most part, my work, I charge a retainer It's paid in advance, and it's 30 days at a time. I work one-on-one with people. My love has always been the technology business. I started my career at Texas Instruments selling semiconductors, but here we are 25 years later, and I've consulted in all industries. So I don't normally do group coaching. So one of the things that I have done is I have put together some group coaching programs. I have put together some programs where instead of working with me for a month at a time, you work with me once every month. And so that has allowed me to have some different price points to be able to help people that are maybe going through a difficult time and can't afford to hire me at my regular rates. Okay, so what can you do if you have not restructured, excuse me, but not created a different offering or a different service? What might something be that you could do in a short term that you wouldn't want to do in a long term until things get back to where you can do exactly what you want to do at the rate you want to do it at all the time? So give that some thought. Like I said, you've been selling virtually for a long time, excuse me, even if you haven't acknowledged that as such. So if there's anybody sitting here 8 months later that thinks they can't do things virtually, you just need to give it up. You can do it virtually. It's just like David putting together these networking. I spoke for you all in March of 2019. We had a fabulous time at the original Pancake House in person. I loved it. Y'all were fantastic. But you know, we have this. David took it virtual, and it's wonderful being with you all in this way and being able to see you today. So David, hats off to you for sure, continuing and making it work. So think about now when you're doing sales. So normally, how do you get your business? You know, are you actually closing the deal across the desk from the customer? Or are you actually doing the sales calls, introducing your product, working out the details and things, but then closing the order is actually done over the phone? How do you normally do it? Well, what I find is people get stuck at closing sometimes. They don't ask for the order. They don't wrap it up. So whether it takes you 1 time or 10 times to be able to close a business, every time, whether you've had a phone call with somebody, you've had an email with somebody, you've had a Zoom with somebody, you need to have a call to action at the end of each of those interactions. So if we've had a phone call, we both know what we need to do. Assign a time that you will get back together to discuss that information. And will you do it via Zoom? Will you do it on the phone? Will you be sending an email? So that way, if they say, oh, well, I don't know. Well, before you get off that phone call, you figure out maybe they're really not interested and they're putting you off. You need to know now. You don't need to waste time with people who aren't going to do anything. They are not doing you a favor by stringing you along. So every interaction you have with a prospect or a potential client or a client that you had in the past that you want to be a client in the past, always make sure you have a next step identified and have a time and day when it's going to happen. Now, we all know we may have to reschedule, but we know that we're continuing moving forward. Time is money, and you don't have any time to waste right now. Even if your business is good, you shouldn't be wasting time. So what is the compelling question that you start conversations with people when you're wanting to do business with them? Think about this. You know, so many people just want to call somebody and say, hey, I'm Mary Smith with ABC and I do this. Well, I don't care. You know, what is it that you have? So I use the example again for me, usually at the end of the second quarter, believe it or not, June is my busiest month of the year. Why? Normally is we reach out to people in January and they say, I'm great. It's going to be a wonderful year. It's going to be gangbusters, that kind of thing. And then they get to June and it's not so gangbusters and my phone starts ringing. But when I call people and think about a compelling question, you know, I of course say it's Debbie with the sales company, but I ask a question. So how bad are you missing your number this year? What is that costing you in your pocket because you're not making the number this year? Let me assure you that's emotional and compelling, and it brings to thought something to people immediately. Do they always return my call? No, but more do than don't when you have a compelling question. So think about, what are you saying to people when you're reaching out to them to do business with them? You know what you do. You know what pain it solves. So spend some time creating the question that you need to be asking other people so they can see their pain and know that they need to do something about it sooner than later. Okay? So be compelling. Nobody buys just because you're a nice person, and you can do it. They have to have a reason to take action. So give them that reason. And then for some of you, Jennifer, you talked about you work with women-owned businesses doing their QuickBooks and their accounting. I can tell you, I know women-owned businesses that are trying to do that on their own. They no more know how to do that than the man in the moon, and they're costing themselves money every year. And so if you have people that that are trying to do things on their own, that you could do it in half the time, 3 times as good, and save them money even with what they pay you, tell them. I always love the line, we all know Dr. Phil, says, how's that working for you? Yeah, Jennifer, how's that working for them? It sucks, kind of thing. Don't be afraid to tell them. So tell them what you can do for them. And then I know I talked with you all in 2019, but I've gone back through my list from 2019, and we only have 3 people on this call today that were on the 2019 call. So I will repeat it. There is a thing called the Rule of 250. The Rule of 250 is each and every one of us, yes, every single one of us on this call today, and everyone knows at least 250 people. So if each of us today just think about how many people do we have on LinkedIn? I get it. We haven't all met everybody, but they're there. How many people do we know? And the deal with the Rule of 250, it isn't just for you that 250, but each of those people know at least 250 people. So wouldn't it be worth the time to figure out who you want and what you want, and tell at least 250 people who know 250 people, so you can get onus is on us. I work with churches in our community. I'm a one-person company, so I'm not Coca-Cola. I can't give $1 billion, to help make your organization better. I volunteer my time. And so one of the things that I have done for many years now is in churches in our community, some of them have a career outreach program where they're helping people who are out of work find jobs. So I feel finding a job is a sales issue. And when you feel least like selling yourself, when you need a job, but you have to do it. So the Rule of 250 works this way. So I tell all of them, you come up with 3 specific companies you want to go to work for. You got to name them. It doesn't matter who they are. And it's not just the Fortune 50, there's many companies. So you come up with the name of 3 companies you want to go to work for, and you tell everyone in your 250, and if you know more than 250, you tell them too. Guess what? People work at those companies. They know people who work at those companies. They may not understand at all what you do, nor do they need to. But these people are not going to go home at night and think about companies for you to go to work for. You have got to make it easy for them. Well, when it comes to sales, it's the same way. What are 3 companies you want to do business with? And then send an email to our LinkedIn, a message to everyone and say, hi, I'm looking to grow my business even during a pandemic. I'm here, hanging in there. Do you know anybody at 1, 2, 3? Name the 3 companies. And if you do, I would so appreciate an introduction or a referral. And by the way, what's up with you? How can I help you? Hugs and kisses, me. Okay, it's no more difficult than that. But people who don't know that you're looking for business or that you need business, they are not staying awake at home at night thinking, wow, I wonder if Debbie's okay. They're not. They're not. You have to tell people what you need, what you want. People want to help you, but if they don't know you need help, they won't offer, and it doesn't make them bad people. Think about yourself. How many referrals have you given in the last week? How many people have you reached out to that said, oh, maybe you might be looking for something. I thought about this for you. Yeah. People are not thinking about us. We have to make them think about us. So, and how many of you, if you're not how many of you, excuse me, but if there are any of you who are not on LinkedIn, you just need to get over yourself. You need to be on LinkedIn. It is the first place people look for people, whether they hire them to do a service, they look on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the only thing out there that I cannot in any way, I cannot sign you up for LinkedIn. The only way people get on LinkedIn is signing themselves up. So if you signed yourself up on LinkedIn, as far as I'm concerned, you agreed to play the game. And what's the game on LinkedIn? The game on LinkedIn is networking and referrals. It is. Now, if you don't play the game when you're on LinkedIn, people who do play the game and play the game right. So like for me, if there's somebody I want to know or meet, I have no hesitation on LinkedIn. And you signed yourself up, you said you're open, so I send you a note saying, hey, do you know David? Could you introduce me? You may not do it, but I have no qualms with asking. I recommend the same to you all. There are plenty of people on LinkedIn, and there are tens of millions of them now. Back to my point about we all don't need $1 billion to make our business good. Maybe we only need 10 more clients. We can find them within our own rule of 250. So, and then think about how do you normally deal with competitors? You know, my feeling about competitors is let them be, know what you do. Don't worry about the competitors. I can't begin to tell you how much people obsess about competitors sometimes. You focus on what you do, how great you do it. You ask your happy clients to tell two people to tell two people. You will never have to worry about competitors. So if you're one of those who really are agonizing about competitors, I implore you to stop it today. Focus on what you do great. Tell people what you do great. That's not being a peacock, it's being honest. And people want to do business with people who do things great. People don't want to do business with people who say, well, I'm kind of mediocre at sales, so maybe you should hire me. No. I do great at sales and I can help you be great at sales, and I should not have to be ashamed to tell that, and I'm not. So the same for you. Quit worrying about your competitors. So my the way I look at sales is a very simple pipeline, if you will. It's very generic. You start with suspects, then prospects, hard leads, proposals, customers. If you do not have a sales forecast, for heaven's sake, start doing one today. The easy way to start a sales forecast is, who are your customers? When are they going to give you money? When is their order? When is it delivering? That kind of thing. Who do you have proposals outstanding with? If you don't have any suspects or prospects or hard leads in your forecast, then that's where you need to be spending time. And what I call a suspect is someone that you don't know them yet and they don't know you, but you know of them. So say you opened the paper this morning, you read about a company, said, oh my gosh, this company sounds like my favorite customer, but I never heard that company name. Put them down on your suspects and quantify them with the same amount you do with your customer currently until you meet them. And when they become a prospect, prospect is when somebody has introduced you, or you have met them, you have connected in some way where you know one another. And when a prospect becomes a hard lead, this is where you've identified something very specific to do, but perhaps they haven't got their budget approved yet, so they don't want you to do a proposal yet. So, but you have the opportunity divine. So suspect, prospect, suspect, prospect, hard lead, proposal, and customer. Do a sales forecast today. And then referral sources. Think about for yourself, who has referred business for you in the past? I promise you, they referred business to you in the past because they knew you were wonderful, you could do great, you could help other people. You need to keep up with your referral sources and those that are your advocates. You need to have a plan for reaching out to them on a regular basis, whether it's quarterly, monthly, weekly. You're keeping in touch. You know, what is it? Out of sight is out of mind. You know, you need to keep yourself top of mind. And somebody that's willing to help you in the past, I promise will be willing to help you in the future. But you have to keep in touch with them. The onus is not on them. It is on you. So create a plan, whether it's monthly, weekly, quarterly. And then also when somebody is referring you, I want you to be specific with them about what you want them to say about referring you. Okay, so Jennifer, I apologize, I'm picking on you, but you were very specific in your introduction about women-owned businesses, you know, doing accounting, doing QuickBooks specifically. So when Jennifer would tell somebody she wants them to refer them, she would use those specific words. She would say, I want to meet women-owned businesses that are trying to do it themselves, that she's okay if they've never worked with another accountant before. She's okay with that. She knows there's a learning, you know, piece that goes with that. She's willing to do that. So tell people exactly how you want to be referred. And I will tell you, if you've not done this in the past, it takes a little time. So for example, for myself, I could sell any one of you on here all day long. My hardest thing when I quit selling semiconductors and printed circuit boards and contract manufacturing was selling myself. I was so uncomfortable. But when I learn people who are passionate about what they do, I don't care that they do sales or they know how to do sales. Are they passionate? Because what I figured out was I could not teach people how to be passionate about their business. Either they were or they weren't. And if they weren't, I don't want to work with them. I can teach them to do sales, but I can't teach them passion. But the other thing I learned in consulting was, so I want to work with people who are passionate about what they do, but I also want to work with people that are willing to be intentional about doing the work. I don't want the person that gives themselves a check in the box saying, I hired a consultant and they didn't do anything. You will never hear me say, public or privately, somebody didn't do the work. I would never say that. But there just are people that are like that, and I don't want to work with them. So people who are passionate about what they do and willing to be intentional to do the work, those are referrals. Here I sit. If you had told me 20 years from now, Deb, you will have people call you and hire you within 5 minutes on the phone from a referral, I would have accused all of you of being Pinocchios, every last one of you. Let me tell you, today I do 98% of my business through referrals. And it's a phone call that somebody said, my friend Charlie said you kicked him in the butt and made him do this. I need to be kicked in the butt. When can we start? Hello. We have to tell people who we want them to refer us to and what we want them to say about us. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, Deb, I wanted to send my friend Howard to you, but I know Howard won't do the work. Well, thank you. How much time does that save me that I never had to talk to Howard? Right. You don't have time either. Time is money. So let people know how you want to be referred. And then, you know, the other thing, and David talked about it, and this group is beautiful at doing it, is referrals. You know, the way networking works, and the reason most people think networking doesn't work is because they're sitting back waiting to get. Networking is about giving first, giving always. Giving first, giving always. When you do that, there is no way it does not come back to you. It may not come back to you in the time that you want or when you want or whatever, but it does. What goes around comes around. So the key to networking, give first, give always. And then the other thing, one of the things we teach in sales all the time is the fortune is in the follow-up. You have got to follow up. You met somebody great at this meeting today. I heard even David say you could go on his link that he has here and you could set a time to talk to him. Follow up with these people that you think you want to do business with or you want to be referral partners with. Follow up. Follow up on the person that you had one call with or two calls with. Follow up. And this is why people hate salespeople. You initiate a process, but then you don't follow up and they don't know what to do. You know, if you've done a proposal and you're sitting back here waiting for them to call, stop waiting. Pick up the phone when we get off this call. Follow up with them. You have no idea what's going on in their life, that they've gotten sidetracked, something else is going on. Follow up and find out instead of sitting around and whining about it. Follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune is in the follow up. And last but not least, always say thank you. Even if somebody gives you a referral and it's not the right referral, okay, let's just say it's not, but still say thank you. And then tell them not only genuinely thank you for thinking of you for this referral, tell them maybe what was right about it, but then tell them what could maybe be better. You know, like if picking on Jennifer again, you know, somebody sent her a business and it wasn't a woman-owned business. And she'd say, thank you. My practice deals with women-owned businesses. So I would welcome another referral from you for a women-owned business. People want to know how to help you. Help them. What's the old Jerry Mulligan? What you really want. But say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I'm a big handwritten thank you note person, but if that's not you, at least an email or a text or something. People love to be thanked. They'd like to know that you appreciate them. So these are the things, whether it's good times, whether it's pandemic times, tough times, these are the things that you need to be doing to grow your sales all the time. You're not alone. David talked about, you know, y'all have a group on Wednesday, you're on Friday. Everybody I heard here today as they introduced themselves and spoke, everybody is delighted to help everybody. But if we don't know what you need and you're not specific about what you need, then it's hard for us to help you. So make it easy. Help me help you. And as I always end with, you know, however you showed up at this call today, whatever your mindset, whatever, you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. So whatever you were doing before that maybe wasn't working, just let it go. It's done. It's over. There's nothing we can do about it. Get started today. You don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. David, thank you so much for inviting me and having me here today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all were great.
That was great. Well, we got a couple minutes. If you have a question for Debbie, just open up your mic and I'll call on you. So open up your mic and then I'll see. Okay, Jennifer, since you got picked on, I
Yes,
guess you want to.
sorry, Jennifer.
No, it's funny because my story is a long story, but this is a new business, even though I have experience. But David has told me his daughter may need my services, and I have a cap. I can see David twice a week and say, when am I going to get her information, and when am I going to find out more about that?
I've just been waiting for you to ask.
Well, I've asked. I said I knew.
I'm just teasing.
So yeah, I want that info because I'm excited. So.
Good. Well, I'll get it to you today. How's that?
That's good. But Debbie, that was very interesting, and it's a lot of stuff that I've heard in other things like the 250 and the follow-up. I've heard about that. So Very good information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a good sport.
I'll take all this over. Yes.
Randy, did you have something?
Can you hear me, by the way? Yeah, I guess you can. Debbie, thanks very much for that. You know, I've been, like David, I've been in sales and management most of my career, and I've heard so many of the things that you said. Practice less. And I think the point that certainly I take away from that is listen to what you said and to what others say, or whatever you read in the books, but do it. Don't just think about it. Try it. Try it sincerely, honestly. Don't just say, oh, well, I'll give it a shot. Oh, that didn't work. I'll move on. Try it multiple times. Keep trying. And if it doesn't work, then talk to somebody like yourself and say, well, I'm doing this. And what am I doing wrong? Because it's not working. So kudos to you. Great to have you as a guest today. I enjoyed your talk.
Great, Randy. Anybody else? Any other
Thank you.
questions?
I always say
It's
go
not
big
just a question
or
or
go
comment.
home.
I'm sorry.
Dick Buck has a question or comment.
Okay, well, Dick, you don't follow instructions, buddy. I said open up your mic, and then
Okay, my mic is open.
Okay, now I'll call on you. Okay.
Okay. I believe in LinkedIn the way you do. One thing I have not done on LinkedIn, and maybe I should, is follow people. And what would your comment be on that?
Definitely, and follow them, comment to them, pay attention to what they're posting, what they're sharing, comment to that. And not just comment, you know, like thank you, but if it was something interesting, you know, say what was interesting about it.
Hold on for a second.
You know.
I gotta do this.
You know, so what you're wanting to do, Dick, is to engage with them, just, you know, like you would in person with somebody that was seated next to you at a lunch meeting today. You know, you would find ways to talk. So if they're posting and putting things on LinkedIn, you comment about it and try to engage them in conversation.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Ed, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. Great presentation, Debbie. I've been in sales since, I don't know, 1965. So everything relates back to what you said. But I just make a comment about comparing the COVID to 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I was traveling 95% of the time. And I went from that to zero and didn't travel for 6 months or more because I couldn't fly. And my business went from face-to-face, and I was a sales manager, so face-to-face with my people and face-to-face with their customers, to phone sales, basically. I mean, there was some video conference calls, but for the most part, it was phone. Today, with COVID, everything is Zoom. So you still have the face-to-face dynamic, even though you can't go out and make sales calls. So in that respect, they're totally different. But in a lot of respects, they are the same, right? But I just want to make that comment. I'm not out there selling. I sold high-tech equipment for all my life. I sold Cisco and digital, just different companies like Cisco, Raquel Datacom, et cetera, for years. And I sold high-end equipment to mostly to the telephone companies. So this is different to me because I'm not in that kind of sales anymore. But boy, that kind of stuff can be horrible with these kind of things.
Yeah.
So you're right. Everything you said is right. I just
Yeah.
absolutely agree with everything you said.
It's just
Thank
a
you.
tough time.
Thanks, Ed.
You're welcome.
Lloyd, did you have something?
Yeah, I had a comment, Debbie. I wanted to, I don't know what the right word is, I guess praise you is the right word, for actually recognizing and validating the group of people out there called suspects. Everybody I've met seems to think that everybody's a prospect, and that's not true. You know, for me, a suspect is a name and a number. So, and those of you that know me know that I've talked about suspects in the past. So I just want to thank you for validating that, because I thought I was the only one that ever thought that way. So just to understand, just because you know somebody don't mean they're a prospect or even going to be.
Lloyd,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Debbie. Oop.
I worked at Texas Instruments, and at Texas Instruments, what was revered was numbers, all numbers. And so that's where I learned the sales forecast was there, and that suspects not only had to have a name, but they had to have a number quantify why you put them there as a suspect. And it is amazing because when you quantify your suspects and that's a number, and you're sitting there telling yourself you don't have enough numbers this month, and you look at suspects and it says 0 because you never quantified it, why would you do anything with it? But if you look at that suspect number and there's 50K identified there, most people, if they don't have anything else to do, will take a serious look at those suspects and do something. So you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we got about 5 minutes here before the end, so I'm gonna let's thank Debbie again. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
So if you want, Debbie, you can put your information in the chat, or if there's anything you'd like for follow up. If there's anybody that for referrals, so that would be good. So I'm not
Very
sure
good.
what's going on with the Zoom today. It's a little wonky. So anyway, but thank you again. I really appreciate it.